with a record of 21 wins and no losses.
Davey Moore was a very outstanding amateur fighter, but he turned pro recently under completely different circumstances than our man here, Sugar Ray Leonard, and his graduating class in 1976. That class had the advantage of the exposure of the Olympics from Montreal. What that means for Davey Moore is that he, unlike them, isn't a household name. He isn't a box office draw yet. He'll have to achieve that the old-fashioned way. He'll have to earn it as a professional. We have some film of Davey Moore, and I saw all of these fights, covered them, and believe me, he fought every minute of every round in just this fashion.
Davey Moore is a 21-year-old native of the Bronx in New York City. He is also the most exciting young welterweight to come along since Sugar Ray Leonard. We saw Moore first here on HBO as an amateur fighter for New York in the Red Trunks in the opening round of our AAU Intercity Boxing Series. He racked up an impressive 90-6 record with 50 knockouts during his years as an amateur. Moore next appeared in the semifinals of the tournament. The third-year business administration student at Manhattan Community College showed an ability to throw an awful lot of punches in a very short space of time, and promptly disposed of Carl Poole of Philadelphia. And it was into the finals for Davey Moore, and he wasted no time in destroying Kelly Pickering of San Francisco. Under the training of Leon Washington, this 147-pounder set his sights on an Olympic gold medal in 1980, only to have his dreams shattered by the Olympic boycott. Instead, he would have to rest on his laurels in Golden Gloves tournaments. Here in Golden Gloves competition between New York and Chicago, Davey easily handled Chicago's Xavier Frazier with workmanlike proficiency. Today, Moore holds the record of 4 Golden Gloves championships, shared only by Howard Davis Jr. and Vince Shomo. Davey Moore has a message to the boxing world. He wants to be the welterweight or middleweight champion within the next 3 years.
So not much left to do, but just to get on to it. Now let's go up to the ring for the introduction of the two fighters.
This bout 6 rounds. Counting for the knockdowns, George DeFilippo and referee Dick Bradley. In the blue corner, wearing blue trunks with the white stripes, weighing 144 3/4 pounds, from Norwich, Connecticut, Felix Nance. And in the red corner, wearing red trunks with the white stripes, weighing 147 pounds, from New York City, Davey Moore.
Oh, we are just about set to go here with a 6-round fight. Davey Moore and Felix Nance getting their instructions from Dick Bradley. As you look at the tail of the tape here, that'll pretty much tell you the story of these two fighters. Nance, 3 years the senior. Height is very comparable. Moore comes in 2 1/4 pounds heavier. The reach is identical. The records of the two men, 2-0 for Davey Moore, 2-0 and a draw for Felix Nance. So neither fighter has suffered a loss. That is Nance in the blue trunks. He is on the right of your screen right now. Davey Moore out of the Bronx, New York in the red. Moore, a promising fighter, has had just 2 professional fights, has won them both. Comes in at 147 pounds. Moore showing a quick left jab. We are just underway here in the first round of a 6-round fight. Moore is trying to get himself loose, seemingly. A couple of left hands, no damage done. Side of the head. Moore very successful as an amateur. Ray, you were in this very position. Fighting a guy you don't know a lot about. You've had just 2 fights. There's got to be a case of nerves going on for him right now.
Well, there's a great deal of nerves, but once the first punch is thrown, you're okay. It's just a feeling, and all boxers have that.
Felix Nance out of Norwich, Connecticut. Davey Moore from the Bronx, New York. Here at the Boston Garden. Boston Garden here. All kinds of history in this place. Davey Moore would like to get his little niche of history here at the Boston Garden on a championship fight card. Combination by Moore there. Doesn't really hurt too much. Backs Nance up against the ropes. Comes from left field with a left. And Nance managed to get himself out of it without much trouble. Moore forcing the fight early on. 1 minute remaining, round one.
Threw a very nice combination in there, a right to the body and a left upside the head.
Again, a pretty quick combination. Left point of the nose, right to the side of the head.
I noticed that Moore has very quick hands. And at this stage now, he's inexperienced, and he really doesn't know how to put his punches together that well yet. But as time goes on, his punches will be far more effective than they are now.
Again, a pretty good quick combination, slipping inside the gloves of Felix Nance. Coming up on 15 seconds remaining in round one. 6-rounder here. These are welterweights. Ray taking notes.
That's my division.
That's right. Moore being just a little bit cautious early as we come to the end of round one.
I imagine that one of the things a young professional is more mindful of than anything else, except his opponent, is the distance. As a 3-round fighter, as an amateur, he went just right through everybody like a hurricane. But here you can see he's trying to pace himself a little bit. He doesn't want to spend himself completely. Take his shots when they come. But he's being a little bit more judicious about using himself.
I was the same way, Larry. When I moved from 6 to 8, and when they said, Sugar Ray, you're going to Big Ten, I was very, very scared.
Well, the thing is here, too, you're trying to impress, trying so hard to impress, and you know that one mistake and you're all done dancing.
That's true. You want to reserve your tank.
Don't have quite the confidence. These are not amateurs, and even though you have to figure that he's going to beat a guy like Felix Nance, nonetheless, there's nothing to say that Felix Nance can't come from left field with one punch, and that would seriously bruise Davey Moore's reputation because he just hasn't really established one yet. Second round, scheduled 6-rounder. Moore on the left in the red trunks. That is Felix Nance on the right, wearing the blue trunks. Marvin Hagler, Fulgencio Obamahia still in the locker room, of course. That fight upcoming for the middleweight championship. Moore missing with that combination. Sharp with his punches, although he obviously shows a lot of promise, just good quickness in his jab.
A dangerous habit that Moore has. You notice his mouth is open. That is very dangerous. You're vulnerable for a broken jaw or busted lip.
And of course, in the amateurs, if that mouthpiece is knocked out, they stop the fight, they hand you the mouthpiece, they say, let's go now, but there's no such gentlemanly behavior right here.
Well, Nance holding his own here against Davey Moore, the highly touted right-hander out of the Bronx. Both these fighters seem pretty poised for fellows who've had only a total of 5 fights between the two of them.
Moore looks more confident, whereas that Nance, he's pretty tight. And that makes him a dangerous fighter because he doesn't want to get hit. And he's ready to release a certain punch at any moment now.
That was a good left hand by Moore that time, getting in on the forehead of Felix Nance. Fighters right above us now in the corner, and Moore taking it to Nance, and Nance gets out of there now. Moore pushes him right back. Nance tries to counterpunch and get away again. And this time he does, gets him back in the middle of the ring. So Moore with that left hand, that was the best punch of the fight. Back in the corner now goes Nance, and that's a dangerous place to be.
Against a fighter like Moore, Moore throws punches, he's very quick. and he's able to deliver 4 or 5 undelivered shots.
Moore missed with that right hand. Coming up on 15 seconds remaining in the second round here. Jab snaps Nance's head back. Reached the end of the second round here. Davey Moore, quite impressive, getting a couple of good punches in that time, and started to add up the points here as Davey Moore, and you can see him just relax as time goes on. As we mentioned, still down the road, the middleweight championship fight between Marvin Hagler, and this is Hagler's dressing room here, and you can see police out in front. I guess the champion just wants to be alone at this juncture and just get his thoughts together all by himself.
Concentration. It makes your performance, but I prefer to have that guard in the ring with me.
That's right. Man's about 85 years old. I don't think he can handle it. I think I can handle it. I'm a devout coward. Here looking into the corner of Davey Moore now. Moore, just 21 years old, has had only 2 professional fights, this being his third. A little bit tentative out there, but you can see him kind of start to take control toward the end of the second round there. Backed Nance into a corner a couple of times, came up with a good left jab that caught Nance on the forehead, stung him just a little bit, but neither man by and large has been hurt. We're in the third round here, 6-round fight.
At the end of the second round, Barry, Nance hit Moore with a very short and very powerful right hand. And Moore seemed to acknowledge that also. I saw the twink in his eyes.
That's a confidence builder for somebody like Nance.
Yes, I believe it is.
I'm sure he's, heard about this guy Davey Moore too, and Davey Moore's been the guy that's been getting all the ink, and now he comes in here, and all of a sudden Nance figures, gee, this guy's really not hurting me at all, and all of a sudden I hit him.
That's true. Just like when the average fighter happened to step in the ring with me, he's a little cautious, and he's afraid because of the name and because of all the attention. But if he's able to land a punch on me, he gains confidence as the rounds go by.
There was also the element of overconfidence.
Yeah, that's what I like.
That is Davey Moore in the red trunks on the left of your screen. Felix Nance on the right. Neither fighter has lost a fight. Nance has a draw in 3 fights. At close quarters now. Right hand up on top of the head that time by Davey Moore. Well, once again, getting Nance against the ropes here, and that's where he's done whatever damage he has inflicted so far.
Moore makes a mistake. He comes in, he throws his punches, but his chin is straight, directly in front of him. And he's liable to get caught with a surprising right hand, or left hook even.
You make a good point, too, about his fighting with his mouth open pretty much. And that really leaves you wide open to get cut inside the mouth, and that can really cause all sorts of havoc, I guess, just trying to breathe.
That's very dangerous.
He's got a bloody lip or some blood inside his mouth right now, even as you were speaking. So he probably did get cut inside there.
Looks like it could be a cut right on the lower lip.
Now that just may be a bad habit. Normally when we see that in a fighter, we start to think that perhaps he's not in the best shape, but he just started out the fight like that.
That's right, that becomes a habit in the amateurs.
And you have the feeling here that Felix Nance is starting to sense that I might be able to win this fight.
Well, he's building confidence as he's beginning to land certain punches on Moore.
Short right hand just was a little bit too short that time by Felix Nance.
I don't think Davey Moore has tasted his own blood too often in the past. So that's one sort of baptism under fire as a professional.
Here's a look inside Fulgencio Obelmajias. He looks rather calm right now, but you have to know there's a little bit of apprehension going on in his mind.
Oh, there has to be. He's a hero at home, and he knows fully well if he wins this fight, he could run for president.
If confidence is any kind of a factor in the man's winning a fight, he had said long before he ever even signed a contract to fight Marvin Hagler that if I ever get a Hagler in the ring, Venezuela is going to have a new champion.
Well, he looks lean.
Pretty good size, 6'1". We got a lot to tell you about this man. Fulio Bell is what he has come to be called here in the United States. Fulgencio Obomajias, unquestionably quite a mouthful. I haven't kicked it yet today, but I'm working on it.
You know, all of South America is watching for this fight. They had an outstanding middleweight champion for many years, and Carlos Monzon didn't lose a fight for about 12 years. And maybe they think that they have another successor to Monzon here.
We come to the 4th round of this 6-rounder between Davey Moore and Felix Nance. Nance picking up the pace just a little bit here. And you really do have the feeling that Nance might sense upset. Crowd rather quiet, just kind of sitting on its hands right now. I think it's rather an anticipatory crowd thinking about the championship. One of its own, Marvin Hagler, out of Brockton, Massachusetts. Very, very popular here in Boston. Meanwhile, it is the task of young Davey Moore to do a job on Felix Nance. And so far, you would have to think that he is the man who has had the job being done upon him. Left hand by Nance catches Moore a little bit off balance. Moore goes to the body. First time he's done that, had been headhunting the whole fight. Pretty good right-hand counterpunch that time by Nance. Nance is forcing the fight now. Gone by here in the 4th round. Scheduled 6-rounder. Moore still with a little bit of blood showing from his lower lip, and as Sugar Ray Leonard aptly pointed out, it was caused strictly because he's been fighting with his mouth open.
What happens also with a fighter, a young fighter coming up in ranks, and when he knows fully well he's on TV, that has a tendency to take something away from him because he wants to look good, he wants to look impressive. And sometimes he forgets exactly what he's supposed to do in the ring.
Have a tendency to press just a little bit.
And it could be a factor in a fight like this because Nance is growing very, very confident.
That time Moore opened Nance up for a chance with the right hand, but he just came up short with the right hand when he did have him open. Nance once again on the ropes now. Now gets himself off of there. Nance looks as though he might be slowing down just a little bit. Not enough to really be a factor in the fight. Left hand up on the forehead causes Nance to take a step back. More with a left and a right behind that. Now has Nance against the ropes. Nance is hurt. Right hand misses, but Nance still hurt against the ropes. Left hand comes up a little bit short too. Left right to the top of the head. And Moore is all over Nance now. Nance finally manages to get away, but goes right back on the ropes on the other side of the ring.
Good body shots there, Ray.
Oh, yes. And it's doing a job on Nance because he's beginning to bend over a little bit.
Nance now back in the middle of the ring. He took much the worst of that with Davey Moore. Right hand lead that time by Moore. Again causes Nance to take a step back. We're coming towards the end of round 4 here. Just 5 seconds left. Once more, Moore presses the attack. Right hand catches Nance upside of the head there. And Nance a little bit rubber-legged as the round ends, and that was clearly Davey Moore's round.
Oh, by a long shot. But Moore threw a great deal of punches that round, and he could be arm weary from it.
That was the Davey Moore that we saw in the amateurs. He had obviously been husbanding his strength, saving himself. Apparently feels that he's worn his opponent down a little bit now and he can let go. Let's take a look at some of that action now. It's a lead right and a good left hand on the jaw to drive him into the ropes. And that's where he started to go to the body after a while, and I think that slowed Nance down considerably, and maybe Nance will have a little less bounce from now on. This is the same action from a different side. There's a good right hand to the body. Another one. Right to the chest bone.
Chest bone. That hurts.
They really get hurt in this sport, Ray. I'll tell you. I prefer this side of the ropes, believe me.
Close him out.
So Davey Moore kind of gaining control of the fight once again after it looked as though Felix Nance might have seen a bit of an opening there, and Moore was a little bit wild, got cut inside the mouth, but now we're in the 5th round, and Moore now really going after Nance once more, gets him against the ropes, but misses with a couple of punches.
Moore's beginning to talk to Nance now, and that's a feeling of confidence.
Right hand puts Nance against the ropes again, and Moore now down to the body once more, gets Nance back against the ropes, combinations to the head, and Nance really right now taking some pretty good shots from Davey Moore. Referee Dick Bradley separates the two, and they're back in the center of the ring.
Moore had a lot of knockouts as an amateur, but both of his victories as a professional have been by decision. I think he's looking for a K on his record.
Davey Moore in the red trunks, Felix Nance in the blue. Neither man has lost a fight, a total of only 5 between them. Nance now a little cautious, and he takes another pretty good shot from Moore right there. Back against the ropes again, and that is where Moore has done the majority of his damage in this fight. Moore is still fighting open-mouthed, and I'm sure that's something that his handlers are going to have something to say to him about.
At this point now, fatigue has set in with Moore. And he's throwing a lot of punches. He's also missing a great deal. But I see a lot of potentials in Davey Moore because he never loses confidence.
Also, he has a beautiful body for a welterweight, doesn't he?
Yes,
Thin legs and very strong.
He's very lean and packs a good punch.
Left hand to the heart that time by Moore. Again, backs Nance up. 1 minute remaining here in the 5th round. Another left to the chin, and once more Nance is backed up against the ropes, and Moore pursues it. Overhand right, backs Nance up once again. Moore clearly the aggressor right now, and clearly in control of this fight as we come to the 32nd mark of the 5th round. Crowd here is still surprisingly quiet. Another right hand, a little bit short. Left cross just gets the nose of Felix Nance.
Crowd is showing its poise too.
That's right.
Barry,
That's
saving
right.
themselves for the big one.
That's right. They're saying that this is the biggest sports weekend ever here at the Boston Garden, and the Boston Garden is no less than 52 years old, so that is really saying something. Just about to the end of round 5. Dick Bradley, the referee, tells Davey Moore to keep him up, but Moore right now has really had no problem and clearly is in control of this fight. Well, here's a program note from HBO Sports Inside the NFL, a preview of Super Bowl 15. That comes direct from the Louisiana Superdome, and it'll all happen on Thursday, January 22nd. Len Dawson and Nick Bonacani will be on hand to tell you all about what to expect. The Oakland Raiders and the Philadelphia Eagles in Super Bowl 15. Should be a good one right here on HBO. Meanwhile, you look into the corner of Davey Moore. Moore, the man in control right now, and we talk so much about how much of the sport is psychological, and you can really see his confidence grow as soon as he got Nance against the ropes and as soon as he hurt him the first time.
That's his thing. And all fighters have that. They get a man in trouble and they won't take advantage of it.
6th and final round upcoming now between Davey Moore and Felix Nance. And they come to the center of the ring. Moore literally leaping into the center of the ring here. Nance knows he has to go get his man now as he apparently is trailing, and I'm sure his corner has told him so. He starts out pretty strong, but he runs right into a very strong Davey Moore. Against the ropes right over us is Felix Nance, and Moore pursues him once again. Moore in clear control of the fight right now. Davey Moore out of the Bronx, New York, just 21 years old in his 3rd professional fight. Learning experience tonight for Davey Moore, also for Felix Nance for that matter.
Moore has begun to reach with his punches, and I truly don't want to see Moore get caught with one of those freak shots, you know, by getting a little bit too overconfident.
I think that's a good point. He probably figures at this point Felix Nance does not have a lot left, but sometimes it doesn't take a lot in this kind of situation.
It really doesn't, you know, anything can happen in the ring. One punch and it's all over.
Ask Mike Weaver.
That's right.
He lost a fight for 14 and 2/3 of a round and became the heavyweight champion of the world.
Exactly right. And that's the perfect analogy.
But I think Nance is a little tired, hanging on. He hasn't been able to put a dent yet in Moore, and I think he knows that he's just running it out.
Took a pretty good overhand right that time by Moore that forced Nance into the ropes once again, and Moore pursues the attack here.
Moore might be the kind of fighter who's more effective in a longer fight because he keeps swarming at you, coming at you, and wearing you down.
And paced himself very well in this fight so far. He started out rather slowly, and you can see him just kind of pick the pace up, and he probably peaked toward the end of the 5th round, and he's kept the pressure on Nance here, even though he has a tired man on his hands. Moore a little bicycling in the middle of the ring, and now he has Nance kind of rubber leg. Nance tries to throw a left hand back, and Moore gets him up against the ropes again. 30 seconds to go in the fight. Moore really pursuing him, left and a right to the head that time, and Nance back against the ropes. Nance just trying to hang on, get to the end of this. He's got 10 seconds to go. Moore with a right hand. Nance's head against the ropes once again, and another right to the top of the head. And Felix Nance manages to go the full 6 rounds. Davey Moore walks away, and walks away confident of the fact that he will come away with his 3rd victory in as many fights. For Felix Nance, as we mentioned, yet another learning experience. Well, Davey Moore started out a little bit slow, Ray, but when he had to come on, he did come on. And as we mentioned before, once you could really see his confidence grow once he hurt his man.
Moore has a lot of potentials, as I said earlier, and he has a few edges that needs to be smoothed out, and he will be in the top ranks of the welterweights in no time at all.
Well, that was only his 3rd fight, and as you mentioned, there's always a little apprehension. Right now, let's go up to the ring announcer for the decision here. Just a couple of more things to check before we get to that decision. Davey Moore's corner pretty confident of the fact that he has, in fact, made it 3 out of 3. In the other corner, Felix Nance just kind of putting the robe on and saying, well, I did the best I could, kind of danced with what brought me. Didn't embarrass himself at all. And we are just about set for the decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a unanimous decision. The winner, Moore.
And as expected, Davey Moore is the winner of the fight here. And winning unanimously. I don't know really that he lost a round at all. I think he might have lost the 2nd round. He had a little bit of problem there.
But even Felix Nance showed good qualities of a fighter.
Both these fighters really seemingly having some experience, even though they really only had a total of 5 fights. They both seem pretty poised.
They did. I will give both fighters a great deal of credit.
Davey Moore seemed to aim his punches just a little bit, especially in the punches coming in behind his jab. He seemed to aim it just a little bit.
But that's an experience, Barry. As time goes on, these guys will be bombers. Good bombers.
All right, I think right now Larry Merchant is with the winner, Davey Moore. Larry, a word with the winner.
All right, I'm with Davey Moore. Davey, how has your transition into professional boxing been?
Well, I think it's a little easier because you got more than 3 rounds to get your work together. You know, you can take your time a little bit. Amateurs only 3 rounds. You got to get out there and stop off the button from the stop because you only got 3 rounds. But then I got 6 rounds, so on 8 and 10, I can take my time and fight a little better, I think.
You haven't had any knockouts in your 3 victories. Why is that? Looked like you were really trying for one there.
I was trying for one. He just wouldn't go. But I'm going to have him. I won't worry, but as long as I keep on winning, that's the most important thing.
Ray Leonard was commenting about the fact that you fought most of the fight with your mouth open. We could see your mouthpiece, and he thought that maybe even you got your lip cut because of that. Is that a habit you had as an amateur?
My mouthpiece broke, like it slid in the middle. I paid $150 for it. It slid in the middle, and I couldn't really put the pressure down like I was supposed to, else it really would have cut my lip.
Thank you very much, Davey Moore. And now back to Barry and Ray.
So Davey Moore is the winner. Sugar Ray, that has got to take you back. You remember the time that you just had a couple of fights and you're always fighting some guy you really don't know anything about? I always would have to think that there's got to be just that little man in the back of your head that says, what if?
That's true. Every time you step in the ring, you say, what if that punch lands? But Dave Moore looked quite impressive.
Well, we await the start now of the Marvin Hagler Fulgencio Obomahias. I want to make that point clear again. We will call him Fully Obel. There is no question about that. Obomahias not going to last. He is the guy that comes into the fight. He has won 30 straight fights. He's won 28 of them by knockout. On the other side, you got Marvin Hagler. Everybody here in Boston knows Marvin Hagler. Everybody in the United States is aware of what he is all about. And he's fighting a guy that's really an unknown quantity. And I would think, as the champion, that has got to be a very difficult task. You'd rather fight somebody who you know something about.
Really, that's true. I mean, when I step into the ring, and I'm quite sure Marvin feels the same way. He comes in as a champion, and he's especially fighting at home. He's fighting what a lot of the boxing critics would say a nobody, because no one has seen him on TV. But I'm quite sure Marvin's thinking in the back of his mind, could this guy do it?
Almost one of those darned if you do and darned if you don't kind of situations. If you win, people say, well, you fought a hamburger. And if you lose, people say, well, you lost to a hamburger.
That's true.
How good are you? We got a lot.